live now. Okay, so you can start your screen. Yes.
Yeah. Is it visible? So?
Yes, yes. Go ahead, please.
Okay, okay. Good afternoon to all of you present here. On the behalf of the Department of Geology and the Blue Planet series, it's my privilege to introduce Dr. Kunal Chakraborty, who is going to be the presenter of today's session. Dr. Kunal Chakraborty is currently working as Scientist E at uh, Indian National Center for Ocean Information Services, Hyderabad. And he has several awards and honors on his credit, such as he was Associate Fellow at Telangana Academy of Sciences, awarded in 2018. Then he was also member of Indian National Young Academy of Science in 2019. Then he was also honored as young scientist in 2017, and he was again honored as Young Researchers Award in 2016 given by Ministry of Earth Sciences. He has several research publications, more than 44 publications in the high impact factor journals, national and international journals. And he has produced several PhD research scholars. He has been extensively working on the Indian Ocean, and he has been involved in the lot of aspects in terms of physical biological interactions happening in the Indian oceans, at the same time other part of the oceans of across the globe. Then he is also actively working on the biogeochemical cycling of carbon and nitrogen in the ocean and also in estuaries. Not only this, his research work involves dynamics of boundary currents and self-circulation, and also ocean circulation, and it's relevant to climate change. So he, by and large, he is the person who is, we can say is the right person for this platform. And then we are looking forward to have his talk on this series. And we have several research scholars and then students currently watching on this platform. And we are expecting that Dr. Kunal's talk would be enlightened to these students, and then his talk will be very much informative in today's session. So with this small introduction, I invite Dr. Kunal Chakraborty to be proceed with this presentation.
Dr. Krishnakanta, please exit your presentation window.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. Dr. Felix? Okay.
Good morning. Sorry, good afternoon. Am I audible, Felix?
Yes, Kunal. Yeah, go for the full screen mode, right? You can
Okay.
expand your.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, good afternoon to all of you. Thank you, Dr. Krishnakant, for the nice introduction. And before starting my talk, let me thank Dr. Jitendra and Dr. Felix for taking this initiative of organizing this lecture series in connection with the World Oceans Day. So what we are celebrating today. So I'm really privileged to have to become a part of that specific event, and I'm delighted to deliver a talk on how data and technology makes our life easier at the sea. So as Dr. Krishnakant has already introduced, I'm working in Indian National Center for Ocean Information Services. It's under the Ministry of Earth Sciences, and specifically INCOAS is dealing with the Indian Ocean. So whatever part it may be, we are dealing with all the aspects of Indian Ocean. It may be the physical aspects, maybe the biogeochemical aspects, maybe the climatic aspects, everything we are dealing with. So broadly, I'm going to show you whatever research being conducted, and not only from our end, but also the institutes which are working under the Ministry of Earth Sciences, like National Center for Coastal Research in Chennai, then Center for Marine Living Resources in Kochi, and IITM in Pune. So all together, I'm going to give you a taste like whatever we are doing in collaboration towards the sustainable use of Indian Ocean. I hope I am audible to everybody.
Yes, Kunal. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So to proceed with, let me first start with the Sustainable Development Goals. I'm confident everyone here, they are familiar with specifically these SDG that is being set by the UN in September 2015. And we are also working on a specific goal. And to the begin with, I'm going to tell you what exactly our research or what we are thinking on specific goal, that is SDG 14. So in September 2015, UN has basically set 15 years targets with the 17 goals, which consist of 169 targets and 230 indicators. And out of these 17 goals, there is a goal number 14, that is life below water. So we are basically connecting with goal number 14, and that specific goal is having 10 targets and 10 indicators. So at the beginning slides, I'm going to give you a little more details about that goals and the plans or the implementation, the way of implementations and everything by the Ministry of Earth Sciences and its sister organizations. And then I'm going to show you specific results which are in connection with the talk. So SDG 14, it stands like for conserve and sustainable use of ocean, seas, and marine resources. As you can see here, there are total 10 boxes, out of which total 7 boxes, total 6 boxes are colored with the red color. So these are the specific areas where Ministry of Earth Sciences and its constituent organizations are working on. So to start with 14.1, we are having some specific targets to be achieved on marine pollution. Then 14.2, protection of coastal ecosystem. Though we have been working that specific objective since long, but from after the setting of that specific goal, there are specific plans and programs that I'm going to tell you on that. 14.3, which includes ocean acidifications. We do have some sort of research and specific what we have so far achieved that I'm going to show you on ocean acidification. And then 14.5, conserve 10% marine and coastal areas by 2020. So that is being set. And then 14A and 14C, that is scientific knowledge and conservation of sustainable use of researches under the international laws. So considering that aspects, if I am telling like what we have said for from our end, or rather by the Ministry of Earth Sciences, these are the specific targets that is being set by the Ministry of Earth Sciences to be achieved in this specific time. So by 2025, we basically going to prevent and significantly reduce the marine pollution that is being coming out from the major cities through specifically from the in the coastlines and coming to the ocean. By 2020, we are supposed to come up with a specific plan which will tell us how to protect the coastal ecosystem and what are the areas which are more vulnerable to the climate change and the human interference. And then the minimize and address the impacts of ocean acidification, and that is being done by the enhanced scientific cooperation among all the levels. And as I already told you, we are committed to basically conserve at least 10% of coastal and marine areas. So this is also a part under that specific targets. And then increase the scientific knowledge and through research, capacity building, and development of several instruments and other techniques in collaboration with the other stakeholders so that we can achieve these targets. And then enhance the conservation and sustainable use of oceans as per the international laws. So that are the specific targets that are agreed by the Ministry of Earth Sciences, and we all together working to achieve these targets. If I'm talking about the indicators, we can always set some sort of targets. Then if I'm talking about the indicators, then the first thing which is coming, what are the global indicator and what are the corresponding national indicator? The question may always arise, why should we require a national indicator? The reason is, see, the problem may be global, but these issues are somehow local or maybe in the regional scale. Let's say in terms of pollution, maybe the pollution is not same with the same objects in all the places. So considering those aspects, we have set the national indicator along with the global indicators. So you can see in these slides, whatever indicators being set by the Ministry of Earth Sciences and how we are going to specifically judge whatever we are doing that is in line with the global indicators or not. So here I would like to mention specifically Ministry of Statistics and program implementation. They are the nodal agencies. They are collecting data from the different organizations like MOES, MOEF, then several other state pollution control board and other agencies, and they are the nodal ministry who are looking after the national indicators, or rather how much we are basically achieving the set targets. And MOES is basically leading the entire program in terms of SDG 14 from the Government of India side. Now, if I'm talking about how we are going to implement, or what are we doing to implement these specific targets, here specifically I'm going to tell you more about the research of two specific organizations, that is my own organization, that is INCOIS, and followed by NCCR, since they are the major organizations who are basically involved in implementation of these specific targets. Indeed, there are other organizations as well, like NIOT, CMLRE, IITM. They are also equally involved, but NCCR, INCOIS, they are specifically working on the major aspects towards achieving these targets. So if I am talking about INCOIS, the mission of INCOIS is to provide ocean information and advisory service to the society, industry, government agencies, and scientific community through sustained ocean information and constant improvement through system and focused research. So here you can see INCOIS is somehow different than other organizations, or rather other academic or research organizations. This specific organization is basically came into place sometime in 1999 in order to specifically develop the products which are aims to provide services to the common people of India who are specifically located in and around the Indian Ocean. So it's a service organizations. So our research is extremely focused towards the development of such products which can be finally delivered towards a service to the common people. So that's the reason what I'm going to show you first, that is specifically the services, and then behind the research what we are doing towards achieving these specific services. So in this slide you can see, or the first box I have already listed down, like ecosystem related services, whatever inquiries is providing is the potential fishing zone forecast, then coral reef advisories, harmful algal bloom advisories, and then another major service is the ocean state forecast. And then disaster related services are there: tsunami early warning system, storm surge, high wave alert, search and rescue stuff, and then coastal geophysics and geospatial services, followed by data related services. And then another addition is the capacity building, that is ITCO Ocean, which stands for International Training Center for Operational Oceanography. It's directly working under the UNESCO, and in 2019 it's become category 2 center of UNESCO. In my presentation, I'm going to specifically highlight the first two services, that is mainly the ocean state forecast and the potential fishing zone advisories, and how we are implementing and providing to the common people. So if you see the right hand side of the slide, it's basically showing the users, the fishing community, coastal states, IMD, Navy, NHO, Coast Guards, ports and harbors, offshore industries, research institutes, and academia. And how are we basically working on? So in order to describe that, I must say we are having lots of data that is being collected under our remote sensing satellites and in-situ observations. So remote sensing satellites, which includes this OceanSat-1, OceanSat-2, Sorol-Altica, and some foreign satellites as well. We do have a ground station in Inquires where directly we are downloading data, satellite data. In-situ observations includes Argo profiling floats, data buoys, current meters, and several others instruments which are basically directly used in the ocean to get the data for development of those services. And we do have some international interface, like we are collaborating with the international agencies and the researchers in several programs like National Argo profiling floats. Then we are collaborating with Cyber, IOGOS, several other programs, and then Ramabui and all international programs. Computational and web infrastructure that includes the high performing computing system of MOES. We are working on the high performing computers. There's a located one in Pune, another in CMRWF Noida. These are known as Aditya and Mihir. So these are the fastest computer of India, and we do have very good computing resource right now in order to run those high resolution coupled ocean atmospheric models for forecasting. Now, to give you a glimpse about the ocean state forecast and information services, that's the diagram. If you can see specifically, we are having atmospheric forecast that is being provided by the NCMRWF, that stands for National Center for Medium Range Weather Forecast. It is also a sister organization under MOES that is located in Noida. And they are providing these atmospheric forecast by midday, every day by 12 to us. And we are forcing our ocean models using these atmospheric forecast. And we are providing these ocean forecasts to the like generally daily we are providing these wave, swell, SST, currents, MLD, and all other specific products to the specific users. Validation and all disseminations, I am not going to the details, but you can always go through the website to get the specific details of that specific service. If I'm talking about the models, that is being used to develop, or rather service used, is the ROMS, which stands for Regional Ocean Modeling System. And then specifically we are using wave model, that is WaveWatch 3, and search and rescue model. So there are several models you can see in the list, when it is running, what are the resolution of the models, and which are experimentally being used by inquires. Now, if I'm talking about models, it's very important to have data. Without that, it's very difficult to develop a model, or rather validate the performance of a model. So for that purpose, we do have a very good resource of data, that is in situ data, and that is data being collected by other means as well. So as I have already told you, Argo floats, wave rider buoys, wave meter, HF radar, PPR, and there's several other moorings. So several kinds of data are available with inquires to develop the services. So specific instruments which are being used to collect data. You can see this is the Indian Ocean, and these are the places where we have the reachability to have the data from the different parts of the Indian Ocean. So if you can see Bay of Bengal, if you see Arabian Sea, or even the equatorial Indian Ocean, we do have a good coverage of data collection. If you compare a similar slide sometime in 2010, you will then realize the difference. So right now, Government of India has invested a lot to have a very good coverage of data for developing these services, and the results are specifically can be seen even in the last cyclone itself. We have an accurate forecast of the trajectory of the cyclone. So that's specifically the way we are developing the service, and then coming directly to the common people. So if you can see there, this slide is showing you like Argo floats, how it looks like, mood buoys, drifting buoys, XBT, etc., etc. So these are the specific instruments that is being deployed by several other organizations along with inquires, like NIOT, National Institute of Ocean Technology, Survey of India, Indian Meteorological Department. So they are all working in collaboration with us and for collecting this specific data. Now, if I am talking about the major milestones that is being achieved under that specific ocean state forecast services, you can see we are constantly improving that service. So it started sometime in 2001, then 2003, we included that tidal circulation forecast. And then 2005, we came up with coastal wave forecast. And then 2007, location specific WaveSafe launched the local language. We are providing this forecast. And then value-added services sometime in 2008, then high wave alerts, then forecast services was started with the ocean general circulation models, which I referred few minutes back, that is ROMS or MOM, those kind of general circulation models, which require lots of computational resources, that is basically used from 2010 onwards. And then we have specifically these that's you can see the enhancement by time. And then in 2016 we have started with this biogeochemical modeling, and then specifically the data assimilation to improve the forecast that is being given to the specific users. So 2019 onwards, or even in right now, we are working on the projects where we are looking about the process specific studies, which are also equally important for generating the services. So you can see this is the sample one joint inquires IMD bulletin. This is being jointly basically issued during this Amphan cyclone. What we are doing, INCOIS is specifically giving the ocean state forecast, and then IMD is adding their specific base track forecast when a cyclone is basically seen in the Indian Ocean. So 13 to 21st May, that is in the recent past, there is a cyclone that's already created a havoc in the coast of West Bengal, that is known as the Amphan. During that time, you can see that's the specific ocean state forecast being issued by INCOIS. And this black line is showing the track that is being generated by the IMD. And that was accurately generated and given so that we can we could save us significant number of lives due to the accurate forecast. If you can compare with the super cyclone that was happened sometime in 1999 in Odisha, and today's our specific preparedness, or rather our capability, there is a hell and heaven difference, and we can basically see that difference on ground. So whatever in recent past cyclones, whether it is Hudhud, Cyclone, or Amphan, we could correctly predict the path and the trajectory of the forecast and that specific track of the cyclone, and it could help the administrative bodies which connected with the local authorities, and they could evacuate the people from the coastal areas, and we could save a significant number of lives with these services. This is a slide which you can see. These are the near areas where we have these wave rider buoy and some open ocean buoy, and we have compared the wave height with the specific observation that is being made from those specific wave rider buoy as well as the open ocean buoys. You can see the model predictions are impressive, and they are basically in line with the observations. So that gives us more confidence to have more accurate forecast whenever a cyclone is specifically generating in the Indian Ocean. So the way we are disseminating these services includes this ICT mean, like all possible ways, whatever is possible, we are using to disseminate these services. And if I'm giving you an example, during that Amphan cyclone, we gave directly these 7,13,371. These are the direct mobile number registered with INCOIS, whom we sent that's direct bulletins. And this is actually, we have more than 9 lakhs of direct users, since this is the cyclone which is basically affected in the east coast of India. So we have just excluded the users from the west coast. So that all total comes around 7,13,371. And the number of bulletins that is being used is 1,493. That's the total number of bulletin being issued so far during this Amphan cyclone itself. Now, after that, another specific service that is being provided by INCOIS is the potential fishing zone advisories, or it's known as the Amphan marine fishing advisory system. It's a common minimum program by the government of India. For that, specifically, we are using the inputs from the satellite. Here, this is the diagram which is showing you the inputs from the satellite, that is chlorophyll and SST, which we are getting directly from satellites, and our ground station is receiving, and they are processing that. And then finally, there is a lab which is known as Potential Fishing Zone Advisories Lab. They are generating these specific lines based on the algorithms that is being prescribed to have the prescribed to delineate the fronts from the SST and chlorophyll data. After that, we are superimposing that specific fronts, then come up with the potential grounds where you can have more fish more fish, and then subsequently it is disseminated to the common people all along the Indian coastline. So this is the typical picture. You can see our ground station and basically the receiving center where the data are basically directly received from NOAA series satellite, and then our OceanSat satellite and MODIS Aqua and WEEDS, OCM, everything. All the satellites data directly basically received in the ground station. This is the data processing chain which is being used to basically the data which we are received, that cannot be directly processed. So it requires some sort of processing. That processing chain is basically shown in that specific slide. So if I'm talking about the major milestones which we have already achieved in terms of PFZ, it's like 1999 we started that, and then 2001 we have specifically started with the SST based, that time only films zooming overlaying on the hard copy based maps we used to give. And then in 2002 2013, that time of digital data, we started image processing using GIS techniques. And then slowly in 2017-18, that first time we have got the international recognition that Safari and GOS, they have specifically uh, gives us the appreciation for societal benefit using that specific service. And then slowly we have started incorporating the winds, currents, then tuna tagging experiments, and all other improvements along with the advisories that is being provided under these PFG services. Now the major problem which we are facing with that specific service is the availability of data during the cloud coverage. So if you don't have sufficient data, it is impossible to get the fronts and subsequently generate the potential areas which are basically which can be given to the common people for fishing or can be considered as a fishing grounds. So for that purpose, what we did, we have started that ecosystem-based models, and we have successfully implemented those models. And now from the model also, we are having 5 days forecast of ecosystem parameters. So we could make use of that data to fill the gap of data, which is basically coming from the satellites. And then we have also progressed towards forecasting from advisories of potential fishing zones. Here I would like to mention that specifically that service has two important aspects. One is we are talking about the sustainability, and we are talking about the blue economy at the same time. So fisheries is the sector which is basically very important, and that's a significant number of people are dependent on the fishing sector. So we'll have to find out a way so that we can basically achieve the sustainability, and at the same time we can basically have the sufficient number of or the required number of fish to meet the requirement. So for that purpose, what I want to convey, if you send a fisherman for fishing, they can simply go, they can go anywhere for fishing, they can fish any type of fish. It may be a large fish which is matured. If they may also fish which are not in a matured or rather juvenile. So there is a possibility that the number of juvenile fishes may be more in compared to the mature fish. So our target is to give the potential fishing grounds along with the very prominent areas where the chances of having more mature fishes in a specific location of a ocean. If you arbitrarily go for fishing, you can reach anywhere and finally you could get some sort of fish which may not be your requirement, and at the same time you are going to use a significant amount of fuel along with these fishing activities. But if you have unknown fishing grounds, what you can do, you can directly go there, so you can basically save the oil that is being used for the fishing activities, which directly basically impacting the environment. And at the same time you can do fishing in the area where there are chances of having more matured fish. So in that way, we are basically controlling the sustainability measures as well. So now, and another more important thing is that if I'm expecting that the fishermen which are going for fishing into the coastal areas or even the EZ, they are not basically accustomed with the specific advisories, that is scientific, rather scientific advisories that is being issued for them. So for to solve that purpose, what we are doing, we are basically customize that advisories in very specified format, which is giving into the local language so that they can understand, and that is being given in such a way so that that is really understandable to them. So we are trying to reach them to find out what exactly they require to understand the scientific advisories, and so that they can easily implement into their fishing activities. So that's an important specific work that is also being taken care of by our PFC team. And that is equally like that same thing we are also doing with the other services as well. Now, with that ecosystem based services, another services that is being provided by INQOIS is the chloral bleaching alert system, CBAS. Even in April, May 2016, specifically near to the Andaman Island, there was a specific bleaching event, and we could successfully track that, and then we could provide these advisories to the common people, and this is being implemented since long from INQOIS. Now to basically provide those services or to have those services in place, we have a research component, and I think by that time you could understand that requires modeling, observation, and data at the same time for developing these services. So in terms of modeling, you can see this is the global grid which is being used in INQOIS or for the INQOIS models that is being used, which we called INQOIS GODAS. It's consist of the entire world, and it's basically covers the entire globe. So it's a global model that is being based on MOM, so that is running. And after that, we are extracting that information to run the HICOM based models for the Indian Ocean Basin. You can say it's a regional model which is taking boundary from the global model. And at the same time, we are also using ROMs for the basin wide for providing the ecosystem services along with the physical service, along with the ocean state forecast services. So HICOM ROMs, they are running in the basin wide model, and then coming closer to the case, we are having very high resolution models that is being depicted into the blue color. That is again taking boundary from either by basin wide ROMs or the basin wide HICOM models. So this is basically the nested grids that is being implemented in INQOIS to run these models in HPC and then come up with the short-term forecast of ocean states, as well as the biogeochemical state of the ocean, or rather the Indian Ocean. So in terms of major achievement that is being done by INQOIS so far in terms of modeling, in 2004, we started with the wave modeling. Then in 2007, we started with the circulation modeling based on OGCM. Then 2010, we came up with GODAS, that is the global model being implemented in INQOIS. In 2013, we came up with a specific project which is known as the High Resolution Operational Ocean Forecast and Reanalysis System. That reanalysis system helps us to understand the climate, past climate, and its variability. So then tidal modeling, West Coast hoops, high resolution wave modeling that was incorporated in 2000, and then we basically started this data assimilation. We have implemented already in the operational models for improving the services. And then 2017 onwards, we are starting with a project called OMASCOT. We are concentrated more in the process specific observations on how to basically improve the modeling capabilities for providing the short-term forecast from INQOIS. Now, this is the part so far we have discussed about the modeling and the services. Now, ocean acidification, that is the another sector where we are also working on that. ocean acidification is specifically very important considering the present scenario, since there are several papers which have already projected that there is a decline in the upper ocean pH by 0.3 to 0.4 units by the 21st century, and it is having a potential impact on the oceanic biological productivity, and subsequently it will have a great impact on the ocean productivity. Means directly it is linked with the entire food chain, and then starting from the fishing sector to the ecosystem, everywhere it will have an adverse impact. So there was a study that has been conducting jointly with the IITM, where we find out that Western Arabian Sea, this is the area where the ocean acidification is much more compared to the rest of the Indian Ocean. So for that purpose, the model that is being used is these IITM based OTTM and INQUEST based ROMs. So there are few papers where we have published those results, and there we can see that pH is specifically declining, and the model could simulate the C2 air CO2 fluxes and partial pressure of carbon to understand the carbon cycle of the Indian Ocean and the specific annual variability of the carbon cycle in the Indian Ocean. So the specific recommendations are including something like this: ocean carbon cycle modeling is an essential tool for understanding the large scale spatiotemporal variability. And for that, assimilation is an important component. There is large data gap, I must say, in the Indian Ocean considering the carbon based observations. So we need to develop some methods for collecting some more carbon based observations. So MOES has already started working on that, and we do have some sort of observation component under Deep Ocean Mission, and probably in near future we'll have more carbon-based observation for the Indian Ocean under that program. And as I told, the trends of Indian Ocean acidity is quite alarming, since specifically these Western Arabian Sea, that where in the last 50 years pH is basically coming down, and it will have an adverse impact. And the reason what we have found that global warming, 60% of the net trend of the acidity is basically coming from the SST, or rather the global warming. So you could get the details into the paper which is published in the Marine Chemistry regarding that particular work. So here in these slides, you can see we have basically customized the services or the products that is being given under the INQUEST umbrella, and we are working under that project called OSMART, that is Ocean Services Technology Observation and Resource Modeling and Science, under which there are several subcomponents, and we are working under MOES to provide that specific services to the coastal community and all other users. Now, apart from INQUEST, there is a sister organizations under MOES known as the National Center for Coastal Research. They are also actively working, or rather they are specifically looking after that SDG related implementations and the work that is being carried out by the MOES. And these particular 4 aspects they are working on, and that is pollution level in coastal waters, degradation of ecosystem, coastal vulnerability, change in the coastal areas. So they are looking after that specific 4 aspects. If I'm talking about the marine pollution in India, you can see the statistics which clearly tells you what needs to be done and what we need to basically put our effort to come up with a clear guideline and the implementation plan for achieving the SDG targets. So total 13 states and UTs, these are basically generating 33,215 million liter per day of sewage per day. And out of this 0.7 into 10 to the power 9, that is basically the industrial waste that is coming to the ocean. Then oil tanker route carrying out that specific 500 metric ton of oil, and offshore productions are something like 30 metric ton per year. And sewage treatment capacity is only 12,673 million liter per day. So there is a gap of 20,542 million liter per day of sewage treatment capacity in India right now. These are the data that is being given by the Center Pollution Board, and we are specifically working in close coordination with them. They are working under the Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change, and they are also working in coordination with MOES towards achieving this specific SDG. So what NCC are working, they are specifically find out the areas where the impact is severe, and they are identifying that areas. They are providing that information to the nodal agencies, and they are basically implementing the plan, the ways to basically control that specific sewage and all other parameters, or the enhancement of the treatment capacity all along the Indian coastlines. And I need not to say, you know very well what are the significant consequences that may have in terms of that sewage. If this continuously coming to the coastal ocean, it may finally comes to leads to the problem of oxygen deficiency, and then it will have a severe impact on the coastal ecosystem itself. So you can see this is the slide where the source you can see Center Pollution Control Board India. Here you can see the class 1 cities, class 2 cities, metro cities, how they are specifically contributing that specific supply and sewage generation treatment in India. And the data, though that data basically already 10 years back, but I think in today's scenario, it still has an impact, and we could understand where we need to improve ourselves for basically achieving the goals that is being listed in the beginning. The seawater monitoring along the Indian coast, that is a specific project being implemented by NCCR, and they are regularly monitoring that specific areas. They have 24 locations and 25 years of data they have collected, and seasonally they have collected total 36 parameters they have collected, then come up with a specific seawater monitoring service along the Indian coastline. So they are regularly monitoring that, and all the advisories are regularly coming into their website. So if I am simply like list all the services that is being provided by NCCR, that includes land-based pollution, harmful algal blooms, everything they are basically looking after. So whatever coastal ocean related activities being implemented, they are the nodal agency who are looking after that specific areas. Now, along with NCCR, INCOAS has also come up with a specific plan, that is the marine observation system along the Indian coast, which is known as the Mosaic, which will have some sort of automated system in the 30 to 50 meters of water depth along the Indian coastline. And these are the automated sensors will be installed, and they will directly send the data to the INCOAS and with high temporal variability. And that program is being implemented in near future, which will come up with the water quality forecasting all along the Indian coastline. And that is the program that is being implemented along with NCCR. You can see that ecosystem modeling, this is also specifically being carried out by NCCR. They are specifically working on specific areas with high, we are working on the ocean general circulation models, where the grids are generally not finite volume grid. But if you see the coastline, you can see in the slide itself, the left hand side, the coastlines and the estuaries, which are specific areas where you do need some sort of finite volume method or final difference method to develop the grids. So they are specifically concentrating on those areas, and they have come up with specific ecosystem models for the Chilka Lagoon, Sundarbans, and several other places along the Indian coastline. So towards the end, these are the actions that is being required from our side towards achieving the goal which we have listed at the beginning. So in order to implement, we should have a framework that's required action, resources, and responsibilities along with the partnerships for implementation the SDGs. Institutional arrangements are very important. Without a dedicated team with proper institutional arrangement, it would be very difficult to achieve the targets by 2030. And then the indicators, we'll have to be very careful when we are working towards achieving these targets. So that indicators will have to keep in mind. And then national development framework along with the capacity building, we can come up with the specific path towards achieving these targets. So that's all. With that, I'm finishing that. Thank you. Hello.
Yeah, Kunal, you may exit the presentation window now.
Yeah, just 1 minute.
Maybe it's on the top. Stop sharing, something like that. Do you see?
1 minute. Just 1 minute. In the top, new share, pause share. Okay. Stop video. Is it new share? Your screen is post stop share. Yeah. Is it okay?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Over to Krishnakanta. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Kunal, for your elaborative presentation. I could follow up some of the important points from your presentation is that how the MOES is functioning towards the towards the mankind, providing different services. So MOES has different sister organizations like INCOIS, then NCCR, then Mosaic, which are some of the sister departments. And all the departments are trying hard to collect the samples across the Indian Ocean, and then come up with the good solutions, including the how to provide the services towards the fish farming sector. At the same time, how the ocean acidification can be reduced down. And then we have other services like how the pH we have other observations like how the pH level has gradually reduced down towards the acidic in the recent past, particularly towards the western part of Arabian Sea. So these are some of the typical examples like how MOES is contributing to the Indian society. And then at the same time, I also followed some of the basic, some of the well advanced, I should say rather, remote sensing technologies using to cope up with all these environmental issues, and then at the same time producing a productive resources out of the Indian Ocean. So I feel this is quite a very interesting, at the same time very resourceful talk which you just gave us. And there are a couple of questions, many questions rather. So I would invite, we will try to pick up some of the questions, okay? And you try to explain to us those questions. So I would request first Dr. Milan. Felix, should I say Dr. Milan first to pick up the questions?
Yeah, stage is up to you. You can ask anyone.
Okay,
Dr. Punita is also here.
yeah,
Thank
Punita
you.
is also here. So Dr. Milan, you can pick up your relevant questions and then ask to Dr. Kunal. Yeah. Your microphone is off. Yeah.
There are couples of questions rising from the viewers, and some of the questions is oh, the Divyavis is asking, can the satellite imagings help us to check pollutions and related illegal activities at the ocean level? She's asking these questions, and you can, if you can explain it, kindly explain.
Though I'm not an remote sensing expert, but let me try. See, when we are having the images from the satellites, you do segregate the specific products like chlorophyll, and then temperature, chlorophyll, salt, and subsequently other parameters as well. But if you are talking about the pollution, you cannot specifically tell, okay, this is the specific organic matter that is being intruded into the specific area. However, you can basically segregate the difference between the surrounding waters and the waters which you are looking at. But you cannot confirm that this is specifically due to the organic matters that is coming from the sewage plants, or it's due to the pollutants. For that, you require some sort of sampling strategy. You need to go there, you need to collect that sample, and then after analyzing only, you can confirm that's okay, this is specifically coming from the sewage plant, or where the ammonia or other or contents of are more or less or whatever.
There are couples of questions, and Deepak Das, he's asking another question, and the question is, in ocean explorations, a very common word sonar is used. How does it help oceanographers accept developing nautical search and tracking objects on the seafloor? This is coming from Deepak Das.
Are you talking about search and rescue?
How in ocean explorations, a very common word sonar is used. Okay. How does it help oceanographers accept developing nautical search and the tracking objects on the seafloor? Actually, he like to know what are the application of sonar in oceanography.
See, specifically, what we are doing in order to particularly search a specific objects into the ocean, we are rely on the ocean general circulation models. See, when you have a circulation model and you have a graded product, you know the velocity fields all along the Indian Ocean, correct? Now, at the same time, you have that specific velocity fields into the forecasting mode. So if you know the initial position of an object, which is basically lost into the ocean, or what you are searching for, what you can do, you can always make use of that kind of velocity fields along with the other related parameters to get a specific area. What could be the potential areas for such that specific objects? So that's the methodology being used from INQUI's side. And there is a dedicated website that is being designed under the Ocean State Forecast website, where you can get the details, like what are the inputs that you need to feed to get a specific advisory along the search region.
Okay, Dr. Kunal, thank you so much for your wonderful reply towards those questions. Now, I would like to request Puneet, Dr. Puneet, Dr. Punita, are you
Yeah,
there?
Punita. Yes, sir,
Yes,
I'm
Dr.
here.
Punita, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes, over to
Yeah.
you.
Okay. Hello, Kunal, sir. It's a wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
And what I want to ask was like, generally, when we talk about environmental modeling or ocean modeling, we have various models, right? Some would be regional, some would be local. We have some global also, like GCMs for climate models. So, like for proper forecasting, how do we synchronize which one is better, either this, or do we, take multiple models and then arrive at a conclusion for better decision making? That I wanted to know. In fact, one of the participants had also asked, like he asked specifically for cyclone, but my question is more general one, that how to decide which one is better.
It's an interesting question. The thing is, specifically, first you need to rely on the physics. If you directly go onto the ecosystem part, you are not going to get anything into the proper phase. So
Okay.
first you need to look into the physics, whether your physics is working good along with the available observations or not. With
Okay.
physics, I mean to say, like the mechanisms, like upwelling mechanisms, your circulations, everything, it's under the physics. If you are confident that your physics is correct into the model, then only you can start thinking about coupling or incorporating ecosystem model along into it. Now let's consider you have a very good physics. It may be a global physical model, it may be a regional model, or it may be a simple coastal model. Now, if you directly go into the coupling of a biogeochemical model or ecosystem model along with the physical model, you will have to face lots of difficulties regarding the initialization and the
Yes, sir.
boundary of that specific models. The
Yes, sir.
reason is, in and around Indian Oceans, though we have sufficient number of observations based on the physical variables, but we don't have sufficient number of observations in terms of biogeochemistry.
Okay.
So the thing is, if you really want to incorporate, then you will have to start with World Ocean Atlas. And
Okay.
the number of data that is being incorporated into the World Ocean Atlas for the basic parameters of biogeochemistry, this is not sufficient to come up with a specific modeling setup. So my suggestion is, you need to basically, the way we have done, you should have a global model which will give you the boundary for the regional model. In that way, the large scale circulations you can be able to handle in a proper way. And then you come up with the regional circulations and then come to the biogeochemistry. Then your regional physics will help you to get a good simulation of your ecosystem. So
Yes.
it's like a long way to go. Directly, you
Yes.
cannot
We
come up
cannot
with a
get to it.
specific setup.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Punita, for the question. And that is one my favorite question from the participant. I would read out that, sir. Yes. This question comes from a participant called Rashmita Luha. She asked that after any calamity, how these ocean forecast technologies manage to provide data to the people suffering it in the post disaster time, as in many cases after effect of such calamity include poor mobile signal connection and no electricity. So
You were talking about an user who is into the land or into the ocean. Since now we have a technology where we can provide the information to a user which is in the open ocean itself. That Gagan and Navik, that are the specific instruments that is being developed in last year itself, which can provide you information directly to the users who are into the ocean itself.
okay,
Yeah, tell me.
the question is like after any natural calamity happens like cyclone and storm, after that the possibly there won't be any electricity, there won't be any mobile signal becomes very poor. So at that moment, how these technologies would help them to communicate or to, to help them, because there will be, yeah.
See, specifically, these are all depends on how good your right now internet is available with you. But if you don't have internet and electricity, then the only way we can provide that information is the SMS and all other means. See, here also our hands are restricted. We cannot go beyond to some level. If there are the possible ways, we are providing through the state administrative bodies. They are having our, like I should say, in Odisha, there are 2 villages which are specifically well trained. They know what needs to be done when there are such kind of a calamity, whether it's terms of a tsunami, in terms of a cyclone. So what my feeling is that we should come up with some sort of strategy to make like tsunami ready villages. That's the term that is being used by the UN. So we should make the tsunami and the calamity ready villages all along the Indian coastline in order to avoid that kind of problems.
So thank you so much for your answer. Dr. Felix, I think.
Can I also add one question? So I also have an interesting pick. This is by Gonzalez from Goa. He is asking a question. As you talk much on data, recently IMD, that is India Meteorological Department, made all their data paid, which is a direct breach of ethics, as IMD is a publicly funded institute that works using taxpayers' money. What is your take on this issue? Does INCOIS to resort to this tactic?
No.
That is his question.
You can directly write to the data management team. There is a form, you need to register, you can send a request, you will directly get the data. There is no need to pay to get data from INCOIS. But see, institute wise, the policies are different. Even I am not the correct person to make a comment on IMD's policy. But as far as INCOIS policy is concerned, you need not to pay anything for getting data from INCOIS, which are basically collected under the public funded projects.
Fantastic. Yeah, I hope that spirit goes on. Yes. Lots of respect for INCOIS from my side.
Thank you.
Yes. So right now, our on colleague Dr. Jitan has just come back. So we welcome him back, and then say it's over to you, sir. Jitan, sir.
Hi, Dr. Kunal.
Hi.
Actually, I missed your talk. I was at one meeting.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, IQSC meeting. Just now it got over, and I missed your talk. But yeah, I was checking the questions and those things. It was I'm feeling that it will be a very interesting talk that I missed. I thank you so much for in a short notice you have agreed, and yeah, student and researcher, they must have got benefited out of your things.
To be a part of that fantastic initiative. And I should thank both of you, or rather the entire team who have organized such a nice program, and that too on a specific day which is very close to INCOIS objectives and mandates.
Oh, okay.
I really appreciate your efforts. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Just want to add on, Dr. Jitendra, just want to add on that you missed the talk. No, you can still watch the talk. So that is the beauty of this webinars. These are all archived in our YouTube and playlist. Anyone can rewatch that episode anytime. Yes.
Yes. That I know, but the live one, that I missed. Yeah. Okay, so now I will hand over to Felix and Dr. Krishnakant, because I was not knowing what is happening and at what stage you are. So please continue. I will be watching this discussion. Yeah, please.
Yeah, so actually we have arrived at such a situation where the session is about to end. So, and then say it is Dr. Felix, it's over to you. Should we conclude the session?
Yeah, I think that we can conclude right now, because it's already, we have offshooted. And thanks a lot, Dr. Kunal, because you spend a lot of time with us today. And yes, it's actually 5 o'clock, past 5. And thank you so much. And tomorrow we have our session will start exactly 11 o'clock. And today there are a lot of hiccups. We are really sorry for this technical glitch from our side. And tomorrow it's going to be Nuncio Murugesh. Dr. Nuncio is a physical oceanographer. He has extensively worked in India's Arctic station, and he was actually in the Arctic for many years, and he's now going to share his Arctic story. What is actually happening in the Arctic Ocean and how the climate change is wreaking havoc in Arctic. And that is going to be an exciting story, friends. So please be tuned for tomorrow 11 o'clock, right? And yeah, I will see you all once again. Thanks, Dr. Kunal, and all in our team. And till tomorrow, goodbye all.
Bye.